All right, number 4 is Rafael Grossmann. Rafael, throughout his career, Rafael is focused on tapping the paradoxical power of technology to coexist with a better, more humane medical care. As a healthcare futurist, being a full-time practicing surgeon gives him the rare skills, qualities, and advantages to combine and enhance both his passions. Rafael is one of the earliest Google Glass explorers, and on June 20th, 2013, was the first doctor to ever use Google Glass during live surgery. He is currently focusing on spatial computing on Magic Leap and HoloLens applications in healthcare and education. Being a telemedicine, global health, and digital medicine advocate, Rafael is a strong believer in the power of technology to augment healthcare and education to better connect providers and patients. He is convinced that innovation in healthcare and technology, along with the current developments in mobile and wearable platforms, virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, along with AI, deep learning, blockchain, nanotechnology, 3D printing, and robotics, will exponentially improve healthcare connectivity, communication, and data management, and result in more efficient, intuitive, less expensive, and ultimately better and more empathetic patient care and medical education, as well as improved global access to healthcare. So just small goals there, right? Rafael believes that technology is just an asset to the basic and most important qualities of a medical provider: compassion and empathy. And when I put Rafael on the spot, because he actually did Yemen's duty for us today, he presented to we have a Friday field trip day where we had 550 middle school students, 7th and 8th graders come in from all over the state. This is one of the missions of the festival, is to remind kids what we have here and get them excited. And Rafael said, I want to talk to as many of those kids as possible. I want to talk to them. So he had, 3 40-minute sessions with those kids today. And when he got here today, I said, you got 5. So he's got 5 minutes. I have a feeling you're going to get a compressed version of what those kids got. So, Rafael.
Thank you. And I hope you behave better. And Jules Verne, you forgot, Jules Verne is my author. I'm a healer too, that's right. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Well, I'm a surgeon, so I'm going to talk about healthcare. And healthcare for me is a basic human right. It should be for everyone. It's a basic human right, and we need to really see healthcare as a basic human right. And if we think about that, we know that about 5 billion people in the world do not have access to safe surgery or affordable surgery. And that is really, really shameful. And I know, as a surgeon, that healthcare is in trouble. And if you're a patient, you even know that better than I do. And this is something that has been around and that way for a long, long time. One of the issues is that we have a high demand for service and we have a very short supply of providers. And education in healthcare is going down rather than going up. So we can't really train enough people to really cope with the amount of need that we have. The spends in healthcare in 1 year is about $3 trillion, 1 year in the US alone. So imagine that, $3 trillion, and we still have all the problems that we have in healthcare. About 440,000 people die every year in the United States only from preventable medical errors. Some people talk about this number and discuss the number and don't agree with the number, but even if it's one person who dies from a preventable problem in healthcare, that should be shameful, and we should not accept that as a status quo. In the world, we perform about 313 million surgeries every year. And of those, only 6% happen in low-income or low development countries. And that is also shameful. 6% of all those 313 million surgeries happen in countries which we cannot even imagine what the life is like in those places. So I think that the most important problem and shameful problem and grave problem in healthcare is the lack of human connection. We have lost the empathy. We have lost the humanity of healthcare, and that is a problem. We have lost compassion. The hashtag compassion fatigue, we talk about that all the time, and that's real. You go to the physician, you go to the provider, you go to the nurse, the PA, or whatever, and they just don't seem to care, and that is a problem. That is, again, shameful. So like I said, I'm a surgeon. Everything I do, I use technology to do. As time goes by, we do more and more technology to do almost miraculous stuff, and that is something that impassions me. Technology is a tool. Technology, thinking differently, innovating, being creative, thinking outside the box. That's what I try to do and dream with. Imagine this guy, Matty Cooper, right? This phone, 30 phone numbers you could store in this guy, right? 30, imagine that. We can make phone calls. And that was really thinking differently. When we saw the people who was carrying that phone, we say, well, this must be a really important guy, or really rich, or whatnot. Look at us now. We all carry one or two of these supercomputers with us. And that is thinking differently. And even more so, Steve Jobs, right? In the year 2007, he invented the iPhone. And then in 2010, the iPhone 4 came out with FaceTime. When I saw FaceTime, wow, video calls are a big trace. Remember when you are old? So that is really amazing. And I thought, how can we tap this in healthcare to improve how we connect, to improve how we communicate? Again, back to technology. It's technology. And it's not the technology itself, it's how we use technology. And we had a question for Nick about, is technology and AI systems and deep learning systems, machine learning systems going to displace the human? No. The best combination, and we know that, is the human and the machine, the human and the technologic interface. Kasparov was beat by a computer, but when Kasparov had the help of another computer, the computer itself, the Deep Blue, could not beat him. So it's the combination of human and technology what gives you the best results. So it's the natural evolution of things, right? And technology, this is the way it is. From a big computer, a PC-type computer, to then Google Glass, which is a head-mounted computer, right? So Google Glass is really almost like an icon. It's not that. It's like the Model T of smart devices, I call it. And I want to talk to you about a cool technology, VR, AR, XR, virtual reality. You're immersed in this digital world. You have AR, which you have, you see the real world, and you enable digital images. And the XR, or mixed reality, allows you to interact. The digital image, like if you have a digital human, can go and sit on that real chair because you scan the system. So you look about the space, and Nick was talking about this. Spatial computing is the fourth era of computing. We started with MS-DOS characters, MS-DOS characters, right? Atari, real black screens with numbers, and then we went with the graphic interfaces in Apple computers, and the icons in the desktop, and then we went to touch computer interfaces, and now we have spatial computers, which, are incredible. With, the space is your desktop. You can use a device and open up a screen here for your email, and go to the next room and open another screen for Netflix, and go here, and you go back to those areas, to that space, and the computer, the digital stuff. Thank you very much. That was quick.
I'm betting there's got to be a question or two.
Okay.
Rafael, anyone?
Why do you think Google Glass never took off on a consumer level? Because when it came out, it seemed like it was the next big thing, and then it kind of flopped.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not a marketing expert. I think that it's an amazing device, and the good thing is that it's not dead. It's not out of the market. It's actually growing tremendously, almost exponentially in certain industries, especially in healthcare. We use Google Glass to use virtual scribes, people, real humans, sitting in a remote location. They can interact and see the live stream of our interaction with the patient, and they can populate the medical record instead of us doing it, instead of us distracting ourselves from the other human in front of us. Google Glass scribe is actually populating the record, so when we're done, we actually go back and edit and sign and go to the next patient. So we save time, but it's not saving time, it's using the time you have with each patient more efficiently and in a more humane, in a more empathetic way. There are other applications for Google Glass in healthcare, and again, I think that that's something that they're very interested in. Probably why did it fail? But I don't think it really failed. It was just it was a lot of bad marketing. It's a very new product. The public was probably not ready for it yet. But I tell you, it's a phenomenal device. Yes.
So how do you see all this technology being able to assist the developing countries, especially when on the other end they don't have the technology, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the money to support it? So.
Well, the good thing that technology is developing exponentially, right? It means it gets better, it gets faster, it gets smaller, it gets cheaper. So actually those countries, if you look at Africa, for example, there are more smartphones in the world than there are humans. More than 7 billion devices out there. So you have people who have no running water, no toilets, no toothbrushes, but they have smartphones. They do their banking or their commerce with smartphones. So you have the ability. Now you have the development of 5G, which is going to allow us to connect 5 to 100 times faster than what we have right now. So if you put that together and you have a clever idea on how to tap on that technology to connect and communicate better, and if you think that about, 2 2/3 of the world do not have access to safe surgery. For example, how do you train the next generation? Well, you train them by telemedicine. You train them by tele-guidance, by teleconsulting, by telementoring. Not just connecting the physician to the other physician or the provider, but you can connect provider to patient, physician to patient. So that's how you use that technology, I think, to try to break that gap as much as possible. But you have to break the paradigms. The traditional teaching where the student is right there physically, is not there anymore. You can use virtual reality. You can use 360-degree filming, streaming in 360 degree. My partner and colleague in the UK, a surgeon, he streamed live surgery in 360 degree, and people all over the world, 55,000 people all over the world, wearing a device, were in the operating room with him watching the surgery live. 2-minute delay just in case, but live in there. So imagine the power. People in the middle of the Pacific could go to the UK virtually and not just watch a video, just see real life surgery, potentially communicating with the surgeon, answering questions, asking questions, seeing how the experts do it, enabling them to get better and to be better.
You sort of answered my question. What unexpected and surprising ways has technology changed your role as a surgeon or the way you've done surgery?
Yeah, well, unfortunately...
you just mentioned education, like training people around the world, but other ways.
Yeah, I think education is the main thing, but even therapeutically, I want to talk about VR, for example. VR is becoming a real helpful therapeutic tool. And I want to sort of revert back to Glenn. I've spoken at this VR healthcare therapeutic conference at Cedars-Sinai. About a year ago, Cedars-Sinai came in with a study on 2,500 patients treated with VR in the perioperative period. They saw that about 53 of those patients required less narcotics and anxiolytics before, during, and after surgery. Minor procedures, a woman giving birth with no drugs, with no pharmacology on them, just virtual reality. And I was going to ask, Nick, how we can understand how the brain is really tricked into, and it's not just distraction. It's not that watching a movie and they're poking on it. No, it's really more than that. There is some degree of neuroplasticity that we don't understand, and maybe have to deal with receptors and all, but something is allowing the person not to feel as much. People with burns and getting their dressing changed and very painful, they can be distracted. There's a company called Applied VR that is in the US, in the West Coast. They produce most of the applications that are for VR therapeutics, and it's just unbelievable. That's going to be the future. It's the present currently. Thank you very much.